Welcome back. Welcome to Power Automate Session 5. In this session, we're going to learn how to do loops in Power Automate. So again, to contact for business or training, please go to the description below where I leave my LinkedIn profile. So you can contact me on LinkedIn for business or training for anything related to that. So let's go into Power. Let's open the application. So today we're going to learn how to do loops. If you remember from previous session from data tables, we created a data table called students. If you haven't watched how to create a data table, please go back to previous session to see how to create data tables and everything related to data tables. We're going to reuse the data table which we have created in the last session and do loops on top of it. Because, so we went with data tables in the previous session for exactly to show how to do loops. This is the best way to show loops with a data table. So in loops, we have multiple type of loops. I will explain you the differences between ForEach loop, loop condition, and I will also reference to the regular programming language like C#, or in Java or any other regular programming languages, how these are related to the other programming languages. So first we're going to look into ForEach. So to get better understanding, let me open up a MS Paint and let's show you how this loop works in theory, and then we're going to look into how loop works in Power Automate. So let's open up MS Paint. So here is our MS Paint. So I'm going to draw a table. This is a 3x3 table. Which has 3 rows, 3 columns. So this is column 1. This is column 2. And this is row 1. And this is row 2. All right, so this is a 3x3 column. Let me put that here. Sorry, 3x3 table. So in for each loop, what it's going to do is, so let's say this whole, let's say we put this in for each loop. So what it's going to do is, for each will take each row and loop through it. So what it's going to do is, first, when we put this table 3x3 into for each loop, first it's going to loop through columns, the row 1, it's headings, and then row 1, and then row 2. So it's going to read first this, and then this, and then this. So how it's going to do that, let's see that. So we have a table, I think this is a 4x4. Yeah, this is a 4x4. And then we need to drag for each. So value to iterate. So we don't mention a number here. We're going to put the whole data here. So DT students is the data table which we created, and it stores in current item. So we're gonna use current item. Current item, it's gonna repeat what we have in table students row by row. So how do we know it's doing that? So we're gonna get display, and then we're gonna use data to display, and then we'll get data students. Okay. So now if I run it, it's gonna go into the for loop based on how many rows we have. So we have 4, so it's gonna go 4 times into for loop. So let me save and then run. So this is the first time. Now it's gonna go. So it's gonna go and display, but it displayed all the table. Oh, I see what's wrong. Okay, stop this. We are displaying entire students. That's not supposed to display current item, because that's the variable we created in ForEach. So we are taking current item from data student. So we have to display current item to display it properly. All right. So let's save this and run it again. So now here, if you see, it displayed row 1. Now it's going to display row 2. So it's going to go like that for 4 times. This is 3. And now 4. It's going to come out of that. All right. So this is for each. I hope you understood. And if you don't, please let me know down in the comments. I will try to respond as much as I can. All right. So now let's disable this. And also disable this. So now let's try to understand loop. So loop is like a for loop in C# or Java. So what it's going to do is, so let me undo this. So for loop, let me delete this one. And then we're going to do for loop. So for loop, it does the same exact, but it has a bit more control over what needs to be run. That's because for loop takes parameters. So initial parameter, this is going to set from where we need to run. In ForEach, we don't have that option from where to set. To decide from where to run, but for loop we have an initial parameter from where to run, and then we have to take number of runs. That's the whole amount of runs for how many we need to take, and then it also takes increment or decrement. So increase or decrease the initial parameter. For example, let's say initial parameter is 0, and number of runs we need to run are, let's say, n, and then increment 1. So what this is going to do is, so if parameters are this, it's going to take initial parameter. If we say n are number of rows in the table, so if this is number of rows in the table, what it's going to do is, now number of rows in the table are 3. So usually this is 3 for our example. So what it's going to do is, now it's going to, when we go into the loop initially, this is 0. So it's going to go here. And then when this is going to execute what we are doing in the loop, and it's going to come back to increment, and then it's going to become 1 for the next run, and it's going to take the first row, and then it's going to become 2 after that because of the increment, and it's going to take 2. So we need to see if this is 3, it's going to go back again, and this is going to become 3, and then throws out an error because this is 3. So in Power Automate, we need to see if we take number of rows from the table, is it going to be index or a number of rows? So the difference between index and number is index starts from 0 and number starts from 1. So let's see that in action. So for loop, we're going to drag for loop, and then so starts from 0, or we're going to set a parameter because we need to keep increment. So let's set a parameter here. Let's say this is an integer initial parameter or initial index. Value initially is 0. And then let's drag for loop. So the initial start from is the initial index and ends at the student. If you expand student, then we can see row count. So let's see that. And then increment by 1. So now the index going to be loop index. So again, how to display this? So we'll display that based on the table index. So how to get the table index? We have seen this before. So index going to be in square braces, and then this is going to be current item, and save this. And exist. Oh, this is not current item. This is initial index. Initial index. All right, so let's try this again. So it's going to display the same exact result as ForEach, but this time we have little more control on from where it's starting. So I will show you that as well by changing the initial index from 0 to 1. From ForEach, we don't have that control, right? So let's see the result. 1, and then so now 0. And it also displayed 0. Let me see what happened. Stop the bot. Let's see what happened. Okay, I see what happened. So initial index is always 0, right? So the loop increment is going to go to loop index. So here variable produce is loop index. So loop index going to be incremented. So I don't know what happened the first time, but it might not be compiled properly. So this is going to be loop index. Or I might have used a small l instead of capital L for the loop index, but whatever. So this is the issue. That's the reason it's keep looping. It keep displaying only 1. So now it displayed Rahim, and now it displayed Ramu, and now it displayed 3, and then it displays 4. All right, so if you see here, loop index is 4. That's because it didn't start from 0. So to fix that, what we need to do is initial index count. So ends at -1. So there are multiple ways to do it, but let's take the easy way. So if you say -1, now if it's 4, it's going to stop at 3 because we decreased it. Not taking that. So why? Expression must contain a numeric value. So let's save and let's see what does that. Okay, so what happened is, so we did this outside percentile. So instead of, so that's not going to consider as a integer. So we have to do it inside the percentile. So save it and then run now. So this is the first time, click OK, a second row, a third row, and then the fourth row. And now it's not going to display the error message. It came out of it. All right, so we have seen for each, we don't need this anymore. So let's delete this and also delete loop. Okay, so we looked at for each, loop, and loop. Now we're going to look loop condition. So loop condition is equals to while loop. So it does the same thing, but the difference is, so while loop will only take one parameter. So what we need to do is we need to check while a row or a number is less than another number. So this is going to take a condition, like how will you do if conditions. So either, so to exit, this condition should be false. Until this condition is true, it's going to keep looping through the body of while loop. So if I say number plus plus, that's increment number, it's until this condition is false, it's going to still do what we have in the loop. So this condition could be anything, right? So less than or equals to or greater than any arithmetic operation, right? So let's see that in so loop condition, we're going to drag that here. And the first operand going to be, again, the initial index. And so like I said, we need to have any arithmetic operation like equals to, less than, not equals to, greater than. So we have 5, 6 options. So we're going to look into less than. So if it's less than row count, it should keep displaying the message. So here, now this is going to change. So the data to display is initial. Now this is going to be initial. Initial index. But the initial index is not going to increment by itself. So we have to forcefully increment every time to get next row. So if you keep like this, what's going to happen is it's going to be an infinite loop. This condition never going to get false because 0 is going to be always less than row count. So we have to increment initial index to make this condition false. So how do we do that? So increment, we're going to drag that increment and then initial index, and then here increment by 1 every time. So now if you run this, it's going to keep displaying display message. Now look at the initial index on the right hand side where my cursor is. So now initial index became 1, right? So now it's going to display the second, and then now initial index incremented again. So now it's going to display third row, and now it displays fourth, and then the condition becomes false and exits out of the loop. All right, so we have seen loop condition as well. So now whenever we have a loop, let's say we have 100 records, right? So we no need to always be in a situation to loop everything. We have to come out of loop when a certain condition hits. So to do that, what we need to do is we need to use exit loop. So exit loop will display a condition, terminates the loop. So here, this action doesn't accept any input parameters and does not provide any variables. So irrespective of a condition, it's going to be exiting out. So if it's exited out or not, we're going to display another message after exit. So it's initially once the first time it does the display, like the first row, it's going to exit irrespective of the condition. So now if we put this out, oh, it's not coming up. Give me a. All right. So irrespective of what the condition is, it's going to exit out after displaying the message. So let's see that. So it displayed now only the first row. Now it exit. That's it. End of it, right? So in loop condition, it's not going to take the condition, but let's get back to ForEach. Let me undo instead of doing everything again. All right, so we are here in loop again. So right now, if you put exit loop here, it's going to display the same. So here it's going to do the same, but now if we take if condition, let's check if. So we need to look at a condition before we exit instead of blindly exiting, right? So if we take loop index again, if loop index, sorry, the first option, loop index, select. So if loop index is equals to 2, then exit. We only need to display 2. So once it got exit, let's display a message again. So exit loop, then we are out of the loop. All right, so let's say there's once the condition hits 2, it's going to exit out. So this is the first one, it displayed row 1, and now this is the second one, it displayed row 2. So watch here if the loop index is 2. So now the loop index became 2. So if you exit now it got exit and exit loop, right? All right, this is the end of the session today, guys. So if you have any questions again, please comment down below this video, and I will also leave the links to my LinkedIn and also the previous trainings. Please go watch if you have any question on how we used variables or if condition or how we created data tables. That's in our previous videos. And thank you for watching, guys. See you again. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like, share, and subscribe. It's going to help me a lot and produce so much content for you guys to learn and grow. And again, if you have any questions, don't forget to comment on the video below. And then if you have any business, if you want to create any app, let me know. I will be there. For you to create and deliver any application you need for business. Thanks for watching again, guys. Let's wait for next video, which is going to be our session 3, and see you in session 3. Thanks.